Thank you. All right. So Scott Adams died today from cancer at the age of 68. People know him from Dilbert, one of the most successful cartoons of all time. I never read it. I knew nothing about Scott Adams until like 2015 when I started reading his blog, and he was basically the only person that was saying Trump was going to win the presidency. And he said he was talking about it in a way that I'd never heard before. He was using the filter of persuasion, not about truth and not about falsehood, but about persuasiveness. And he said this guy was not only going to get the nomination, he was going to win. And nobody took it seriously, but he risked everything. He lost so much of his work. He was a syndicated columnist. He ended up losing a lot of papers. He later lost his book publishing, but he stuck to his guns. I've been in this business for 15 years and at Fox, and my career didn't change, literally did not change dramatically until I ran into Scott Adams. He became my mentor. The stuff that you hear me talk about a lot when I'm on this show and on the Five is because I get up in the morning and I listened to Coffee with Scott Adams. Probably the best morning show ever. Sorry, Fox and Friends. And it was because it wasn't a show. It was just him in his home. And the reason why it was so good was that he was your friend, and he would sit there and he had his cat and he would just talk about the stuff, but he would give you a filter into everything. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you aren't aware of this monumental person, that it sounds like it's hyperbole, it is not. This guy changed public policy. There are people in the White House that are grieving right now over him. There are people who are related to Trump who thank him for helping them understand their parent. It's incredible. So, there's a lot of things you don't know about him. And you may never know anything about him because he never bragged about it. But he had such an impact on this world that, to me, it's like surreal that he's no longer in my life. He was the most important intellectual figure that I've had in my lifetime, and I've been lucky to have more than a few. Michael, you've had him on your show 3 times. Tell me about your relationship with him. And
well, I mean, those morning coffees that he did, a couple of times he said, I'm really funny.
Yeah.
People should follow my Twitter. So when someone like Scott Adams validates you in that way, it really kind of like, oh, maybe I'm doing something right. Because otherwise on the internet, all you get is hate, hate, hate. What he also did, he had this book, which I will recommend to everyone, called Reframe Your Brain.
It's amazing.
And I'll give you, so how this book is if you have an idea that's in your head, you reframe it and everything changes. And what he had is, the regular framework is, you should do the best at your job. The reframe is, your job is to find a better job, which what Kat is doing right now.
Yeah.
It's only up from here. But point being, if you think about it in that terms, like, wait a minute, I'm not trying to be stuck at this desk for 5 years. I'm trying to be stuck at this desk until something better comes along. And just that one sentence changes how you look at everything. So his advice, thank you, for that one person like Scott, his advice wasn't just political. It was very much as someone from a very corporate background, which is what Dilbert was about. Maybe you should read it sometime. Mm-hmm. It was very much about how you can maximize your life.
Yeah.
And when you see someone whose flame burns that bright succumb, it's hard.
Yeah.
And he wasn't that old.
Yeah, I know.
And he fought like a tiger for the end.
Yeah, he was. He did his last show yesterday and then died this week. He was going to do a show today, and then he told his caretaker, he goes, I'm going to die today. And he died. He couldn't, but he wanted to do a show. The job thing is really interesting because he helped me. He made me, I've been fired 3 times. And he asked me at one point, he goes, after you got fired, did your life get better or worse?
Right.
And I go, it got better.
Yeah.
And he goes, the people, when they get fired, think it's the worst, but it never is.
It's like that breakup with someone you shouldn't have been with to begin with.
Yes.
Like, I'm free now.
And he has a great framework for when you do get fired or when you get broken up. It was a great frame. Like, let's say you ask a girl out or a guy out, in your case, Kennedy, or both.
Okay.
Oh, I'm now bisexual. How exciting.
It's the glasses. It's the glasses.
And the person says no. And it can really hurt your ego unless you say, oh, it's just not a good fit. And that was his framework, was that whenever you get rejected, whether it's you don't get a job or the girl, it's, oh, it obviously wasn't a good fit. And it just lifts this incredible thing off you. Did you know Scott at all?
Yeah, I had him on my former Fox Business show before, and he was great. Like, this is someone, and I always love those non-traditional thinkers. They're people who can never be put into a certain category because they're undefinable, and they're undefinable because they are constantly pulling the world apart and looking at it from different angles and putting it back together. And it's very uncomfortable for people because they want to see the world one way, and they want the world to be black and white and very simple. And he was a person who looked at a complex world and simplified it for people. And he did that through systems. Like, he was a big believer in systems.
Systems, not goals.
Yes.
Like, if you,
right.
it's not enough to have a goal.
That was one of his famous quotes.
Yes.
Losers have goals, winners have systems. And it's a very profound thing. And when you can get out of that and look at the world and operate in a systems-oriented world, you will engage much more successfully. But I want to know from you, when was the last time you talked to him? And I want to know a little bit about the conversation you and Dr. Drew had with Scott.
Well, I talked to him on Sunday. I went on his show, but at that point, he was so drugged up. He was just, and so we texted. I told him I loved him, and he hearted it, and I just been texting back and forth. But it was getting harder and harder for him to talk because the amount of cancer drugs that he was on to deal with the pain in it was. But he was mentally there, but he just couldn't,
हमसे तो इतना चिढ़े बैठे हैं कुछ लोग, बस इंतजार कर रहे हैं, कर कुछ नहीं पाएंगे। हमसे तो इतना चिढ़े बैठे हैं कुछ लोग, बस इंतजार कर रहे हैं, कर कुछ नहीं पाएंगे।